guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would bring you a brand new updated nursing video. So it's been just over a year since I did the last one of these, but I was quite surprised by how successfully it went down and how many of you have actually viewed it. So I thought I would maybe do an update one, maybe every so often, of the nursing videos, just because this is quite unique to me, and obviously I have a lot of passion for my job and I want to share it all with you. Yeah, so you have lots of questions for me, so I decided to answer them all for you today. Obviously there could be lots of topics that I could go around with the whole nursing thing, but because so many of you have asked me questions recently and I've promised you all that I would bring you an updated version of the video, I've decided to just make this a Q&A rather than go through all the topics and things. So maybe some other time I will do a video nominated to each kind of topic, like about interviews, about placements, about uni, about applying for jobs, about my job in general, things like that. If you'd like to see that as well, let me know in the comments below and I can completely sort that out for you. That would be really, really good to try and incorporate a bit more nursing into my YouTube. I think I'll just crack on with the questions now. I've got some on my phone from people on Instagram, some from Snapchat, and some from my YouTube channel, which people have left on my old video. So stay tuned if you want to see more of my answers for these questions. Okay guys, I'm going to start with my phone to begin with. So I have got some questions on here which I will dig out for you. We will start with the ones I've saved from my Snapchat. If you haven't already got me on Snapchat, I'll leave my name here so that you can go and add me on there, because I'm always leaving things for my Q&As, tips and hints here and there of things I'm using and stuff like that. So yeah, go and follow me on there. First question is from Amy D. Allison off Snapchat. She said to me, when did you decide what ward to work on and how competitive is it to get a job that you really want? Well, basically some of you might know that this time last year I lived in Cardiff and I lived there for a year, basically because my boyfriend Simon got a job down there and I applied for my first job down there. So I worked on a ward down there, but when I did my final placement at university, I just knew that intensive care was what I wanted to do. I knew that it was where my head was at. I knew that it just kind of stimulated my brain in the right way. It made your brain work. I just really enjoyed it. I don't know if sometimes enjoyed is the right word to use for looking after people as sick as I do every single day, but it's important to kind of get that feeling from your job, and I definitely do get that feeling when I'm working in intensive care. I just know that it's the career for me, and I just know that I'm really, really passionate about it and I give 100% every single day at work. So the answer to that question is I decided I wanted to work in intensive care when I'd done my management placement there, which was about 4 months long, I think, and that was at Northumbria University. So I just knew that that was my goal. I needed to work on intensive care, which is obviously what I'm doing now. And in terms of competitiveness to get a job that you really want, it really was not that competitive. I was worried that I really would never get a job there and I'd be waiting years and years to get a job in intensive care. But the turnover is quite high on these kind of units and things, because it's either a job that people completely fit themselves into, or one that people start and just completely get overwhelmed by the whole thing, because as you can probably imagine, working on critical care involves looking after extremely sick people all of the time. So it can be quite overwhelming for people, and sometimes people don't like the nature of just looking after one person. They prefer a bunch of people, or they like chatting with their patients, and obviously you can't really do that when you're in critical care most of the time because they are actually sedated. So it just depends really. It's not that competitive, I didn't find, and obviously we're always looking for nurses, so it was actually quite reasonable. So that's the answer to that question. I think the next question is from the same girl as well, so I'm just going to do her questions as well. So she put, what is your advice for coping with the work plus placements throughout the uni course, and did you find it difficult to juggle social life with being organised and studying? So my advice for coping with the work is prioritise it. Obviously get it all done and then you can go and have fun, or don't leave things till last minute. That's what I always found. I never left anything till last minute unless it was literally I had about 3 assignments in a row, and I remember I went to Egypt on holiday and I came back and I had to write 1 assignment within 1 week, and that was the most stressed I had ever been in my life, and I swore to myself I'd never do it again. That was in my second year, I think. And I found second year the hardest, so I really didn't do myself the biggest of favours by doing that. So my advice for coping with work plus placements is probably just make sure that you make time for both. Obviously placement is a necessity and you're going to have to go. It's scheduled into your time as a student nurse, so obviously you have to go to placement. sometimes you're quite lucky in that placements, like community placements, and I found when I went onto day units and things, they used to give you time to like do your work while you were actually at placement, so they were really, really lenient and good. But obviously on WODs and things you don't get that opportunity, so I would just say prioritise like obviously what's more important. At times you might have like something really important on in your social life, like it might be someone's birthday that you really want to attend, so get some work done before it. It's kind of a hard question to answer because obviously you don't understand people's life circumstances and stuff, but I would just say prioritise and get yourself really organised. Get a diary, write down what you want to do that day, write down what you want to achieve, how many words you want to write, or whatever, however it works for you, and do it like that, because that's the way I found it worked for me. And the second question was, did you find it difficult to juggle social life with being organised and studying? I didn't really, because I am quite an organised person, so I managed to like cope with it all quite well. And like I just said, I did actually have a diary that I stuck to religiously, so I'd write like library day in my diary on a particular day, even if I was going out the night, and then I'd just make sure I got up extra early to go to the library or do some work at my laptop that day. I never struggled. I made time for everything sort of thing, and I never prioritised my social life over my uni work. It never happened. I just seemed to balance it perfectly, and I think it was just down to being super organised, so I'd probably just say that, to be honest. Okay then, the next set of questions are from my Instagram. I left a post on my Instagram and some of you have commented on it, so I will read them out from there now. So there's one from ZZIL_, I don't know how you pronounce that. It says, was there ever a point during your nursing course at uni where you weren't sure if it was for you? There was a time in my first year when everything became a little bit overwhelming with uni, and I was just really, really unhappy in general, not because of my course. It was literally everything but my course that was making me unhappy. And at that time I wanted to quit. It was not because of nursing, it literally wasn't. I knew that was what I wanted to do, so even if it meant leaving that uni and joining one nearer home, I would have completely done that to make sure that I did nursing. I knew it was what I wanted to do. I was just unhappy like at uni and in halls and everything. It just didn't seem to like really be exactly what I wanted, and it just, yeah, that was the only reason. So yeah, it was about a week to 2 week period of me being really unhappy with it and really debating leaving. That was the only time, and then after that it was completely fine. I've been quite lucky really, because I think some people had like that feeling recurrently, but not me. Alright then, next question on Instagram is from ErinGuy12, and she put, what's your advice for writing assignments? I'm a first year student at Northumbria University doing adult, and I got 58% in my first assignment, which I know is okay, but other people got loads higher. I'm not feeling very academic, haha. Well, first things first, I went to Northumbria, so good choice of uni right there. Secondly, what's my advice for writing assignments? Like I just said before, probably just getting organised. Make sure you're organised. I found it really simple, and if I could find my old diaries I definitely would show you, but I think I threw them away. I used to write down each day I'd go to the library, I'd write down my goal for that day, so how many words I'd write, and I used to do it like that, and I used to try and hit that target every day, and if I didn't hit it I'd feel really disappointed in myself, and I'd push myself to go an extra day just purely because I knew that I had so much to do. What's my advice for writing assignments? I'd say get your hands on a few books. So I found the Cite Them Right book for referencing was amazing. That was literally my Bible throughout uni. I will leave a link for that below because it's on Amazon, I know that, but I've obviously got the old version of it, so I won't grab that one. I'll link it below so you can check that one out. Also, don't let anybody distract you, just do your work, get it done, and then you can enjoy yourself. And also, 58% is good, you shouldn't kick yourself for that. It's your first assignment at university, and you're taking a leap up from A-level to go and do a degree. Don't kick yourself for that, that's really good. I think I actually got less than that in my first assignment, and a lot of people did, so you should be really pleased with yourself. Yeah, just don't worry about it. More advice for writing assignments is probably to write a plan of what you're going to write through the whole assignment, and then just work it that way. And I always found getting it done about a week before the submission date so that you could just read over it and check it, and I always used to find it, I found a particular person, like Simon, my boyfriend, was the one I would send my assignment to, and he'd check it for me before submission date so that it would all be perfect and things beforehand. So I'd say find yourself somebody who can check it, whether it be like a parent or a sibling or a friend, somebody who can go through it. It's a second pair of eyes and just check that everything's okay, because I know it doesn't seem like it, but sometimes when you rush in you just make mistakes and errors and things, so I'd recommend that. Next question is by Leswordfish on Instagram. It says, how did you get by at uni, and in comparison to now, has it made your life better in and out of work? How did I get by at uni? I'm not sure in terms of what that means exactly, but I didn't have a part-time job or anything. I knew that my course was extremely demanding and meant that I had to do placements which were really long. So obviously I just got by, like I had a really supportive family, luckily, and I had some friends at home which were really good, and one of them in particular, Ruth, she came up to visit me all the time, so that obviously made me really, really happy, and I looked forward to those days. I didn't really cope with uni that well, I have to be honest. I didn't have the best experience. The course was definitely right, but like I say, the experience of it in general was just not for me, and if I could go back I'd change a lot of things. In comparison to now, has it made your life better in and out of work? It's definitely made my life better. I am happy I've done uni and I would not regret it, but I'm so happy it's over. It's definitely made my life better, because if I didn't go to uni then I obviously wouldn't be a nurse, and then I wouldn't have a career like I've got now, which I love. I absolutely love my job. In terms of getting by at uni, it doesn't reflect on what's going on now, but I guess it's kind of made me realise what makes me happy and what doesn't, so yeah. Katie Beckett says, how many offers did you get back from unis? I think I got 3 offers after interview. The 2 that I applied for that I didn't get interviews for, I didn't even get interviews for in the first place, but the 3 I had interviews for, I got a place on all of them, which were Chester, Northumbria and Manchester. I had Manchester down as my first choice and Northumbria as my insurance choice, and I ended up getting into Northumbria in the end, because Manchester you needed grades and I got the specific amount of points anyway. But I'm really pleased I got into Northumbria. I loved the uni, I loved the city, just yeah. Alright then, I'm going to move on to my old YouTube video now, which I've got some questions on from some viewers, so I will answer those ones now over there. I have a question here from Hannah Smith. She says, would you be able to go into any more detail on what you think the main questions are that university interviewers would ask? Well, first things first, don't be nervous. I know it's easier said than done, but don't be. Honestly, they're a lot better than you think. The questions that I found that they asked me were current issues in the NHS or in legislation in general in nursing. It was all to do with the Francis report and things when I was doing my interviews. Why do I want to be a nurse for a start? That was a big question. What personal qualities do I have that of my own, and do I have any negatives that I feel like I can work on? I think I said my negative in my interviews was that I didn't fully believe in myself all the time, but that's something that I know I need to work on. So it's like a negative, but whilst being positive. You're not like saying, oh, I don't have any confidence, or I'm a really unhappy person, or anything like that. You're thinking of a negative that you can work on in terms of your job, if you know what I mean. Okay then, some more questions I'll probably ask is about positives and negatives of yourself, like as a person, what your positives and strengths are. So that might be that you're an organised person, that you're a dedicated person, etc. It might be things like that, so that's probably something that you should like read up on. Okay then, next question, also by Hannah Smith, is what were your placements like and how did you find the assignments? So placement wise, I had really, really good placements. Like, I think I was really lucky. A lot of people that I went to uni with didn't have good placements. They had the odd one that was just not great, either for one reason or another. They didn't like the kind of place that they were working, or they didn't get on with their mentor, or yeah, it just didn't work for them, it just didn't suit them. But I was really quite lucky. Like, even the placements that I knew I didn't really want to go into that field, I still really enjoyed them for like one way or another. Like, either that the team were really nice, so it made up for it, or it just was like a nice time of year. Like, I had one placement that I probably didn't enjoy as much, not for any negative reasons, just I knew that I didn't want to do it, so it didn't really like thrive me as much, if you like. But the team were lovely. It was at Christmas time, so it was all like really nice and magical, and like we did exciting stuff, and yeah, it was really, really good. So for that reason, it was really, really nice. All of mine were like really based around what I wanted to do, basically. I knew it was either going to be surgery or intensive care that I wanted to do, so I was pleased that I got intensive care, and it related to all my surgical placements. I only actually had one medical placement, which pleased me, to be honest, because I knew I didn't really want to do medicine, which is quite funny considering I went into a medical ward for my first job. But yeah, and the second part of that question was, how do you find assignments? I didn't find the assignments too bad, actually. Obviously in the second year they took a leap up from level wise, like things got a lot harder and you had to like go into your answers a lot deeper and stuff, but once you kind of got the hang of what they were expecting of you, it was a lot easier to do, and I didn't find them too bad. Obviously you get really worried and worked up about them, but I didn't let them get on top of me, and I made sure that I was organised and had them ready to hand in like a week or 2 weeks before, sometimes more than that, just so that I could relax and plan the next thing. Obviously in third year it was about the dissertation and stuff, so I needed to have my head completely focused on that and applying for jobs at the same time. So yeah, just be sure to like be completely organised with everything that you've got on your plate at once, because it can get quite overwhelming at times. Right, I have another question on my channel from a person called Zara H. She wrote to me saying, what can I do to prepare for the first year at university in adult nursing? Are there any books I can read or any topics to to learn to let me know the basics. So I'd say to prepare for your first year at university, just kind of read around topics if you like. Make sure you know bits and pieces about the body at the very basic level. You don't know what kind of placement you're going to get, so there's no point going in and reading things that are going to make you an expert in one field when you might go into something completely different. I found on my first day of placement ever, it was completely overwhelming. Like, I couldn't even do the most simplest of tasks, but I picked it up extremely easily. When they asked me to go around and do the observations on all the patients, I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to put a blood pressure cuff around anyone's arm. I don't know how to use a SATS probe, which is basically something you just put on the end of someone's finger. I didn't know anything, so I literally had to learn the basics, but it was fine because within a week or within 2 days, I was completely fine with all that sort of stuff. You pick things up all the time. I'd say to prepare for your first year in uni though, pick up a couple of books. Pick up Cite Them Right, which I've said I'd leave below anyway. Pick up the Royal Marsden, the most recent one that you can get your hands on at a reasonable price. I'll try and have a look and I'll link some below if I can find any, because that was literally my Bible at uni. It was about this fat and it had all the different like procedures in, and it had all the different like illnesses in, and it was just really good. So I would completely recommend getting your hands on that because it helped me through all my assignments as well. I would say just be prepared to have a bit of your time taken away from you. You'll be around students that I'll have about 3 days worth of lectures at university, and you'll be there every single day or at placement all week, and you won't be able to have the same social life as them, so you need to kind of get your head around that before you really go and do it. Expect to work a lot and expect horrible shifts and things. You can't go into it thinking that you're not going to get it like that, and just be really organised, because obviously you've got like the double workload. You're working a job whilst also doing assignments as well, so just be aware of that. And then final question is from Aggie Vixen, which is also on my channel. She put, is it a rewarding job and can you buy nice things at the end of the month? Well, let me just answer all these questions separately first. So first one, is it a rewarding job? Absolutely. It is possibly, if not the most rewarding job that you could possibly have. Obviously at times it can be very, very testing, and you've got lots of negative things that go on. Maybe not so much like negative bad, but like negative just sad sort of thing. So you obviously get like a lot of people unfortunately dying, because that's sometimes life. You see people deteriorating, so it's obviously not great, but it does happen and people do get sick, obviously. But it is the most rewarding job in several different ways. Obviously you can make people better, you have that capability and that knowledge to make people better. I think it's really good, like working in intensive care in particular, you use your own initiative when making decisions. So like for example, if a patient was becoming, their blood pressure was dropping, which is obviously a serious thing, if it was just trending downwards constantly, I would know personally what I needed to do to get it back up, or I'd run and get a doctor and say, can I do this, rather than it being like I need someone to do it for me. It's a really rewarding job when you actually know what you're doing without having to ask somebody else's advice all the time. I think that's only really something that happens when you work in intensive care as opposed to maybe the wards, because I think you find that you're chasing doctors around a lot when you're on a ward. When you're trying to ring them on call overnight or on weekends, it's quite difficult sometimes. But on intensive care we're quite lucky in the fact that we have doctors continuously on the unit, so we'd ring them and say, oh, this guy's blood pressure's dropping, should I get some of this and that and the other, and they'll be like, yes, we'll come now and we'll do it, just go and get it ready. So I know what drugs to use, I know what fluids to use and things like that to try and like revive the blood pressure sort of thing. So it's always like really, really rewarding to know that I have that capability to know that. Also it's rewarding in terms of like people are always quite grateful for you, and you are solely the person like in intensive care in particular again, and you're the person looking after them, and they're grateful because you are literally the only person that's like looking after them that day. You're giving them a wash, you're making them better, you're getting them out into their chair, you're like doing all those steps with them, and they are very grateful, and their family are really grateful as well. Obviously in somewhere like intensive care, it's quite a scary environment for everybody. It's scary for the patients, it's scary for the family, because the nature of the words critical care means that somebody is critically ill, and obviously that means that when patients come there, they're attached to millions of monitors, they've got drips coming out of them, they've got drugs going in them that no one knows the names of, and it can be quite a scary thing for like a family member to walk in on and see their family member like that. So every little step that's making them a bit better, they're so grateful for, and to me that is super rewarding. Also another rewarding thing, if you like, is obviously if you've looked after somebody who is approaching the end of life. Unfortunately it's a bit of a dull topic, but it obviously does happen. It's rewarding to know that you are there last person to care for somebody. Like, you are that last person to give them the last wash, to make them pain-free, to make them comfortable, to not make them feel sick, to look after their family while they're like sitting with the person while they're in bed dying. It's like, it's a rewarding feeling to be that person. Obviously it's not a nice situation, it's not a nice situation for anybody, it's not a nice situation for you. We're only human at the end of the day, and we will feel sadness with people, but it's our responsibility to like look after everybody as a whole. So the family, the friends of that person, the relatives, the patient themselves, keep everybody like comfortable and up to date with what's going on. And that can be quite rewarding at times, just being that person and knowing that people are relying on you for that. Obviously it's not a very nice subject, but it obviously does happen, so that can be rewarding. But nursing in general, overall, I do think is a really rewarding job. I think we don't always get the kind of recognition that we should for what we do. You would be surprised if every single person who's not a nurse who's watching this was a fly on the wall one day and saw what we actually do every single day, then you might feel differently about what we actually do. I know we get a lot of bad press, and it takes one bad nurse to give a million good nurses a bad name, which is so unfortunate, because you wouldn't believe the care that gets provided to people. It's really unbelievable, and the things that we have to do and what goes through our head and the shifts that we do, it's everything. You wouldn't believe it. So overall, I think it's a really rewarding job, and I love it, and I would never change my career. I am obsessed with being a nurse. I just love it. Okay then guys, that is my nursing Q&A all over and done with now this time round. If you guys have any more questions that you'd like me to answer in future videos, please leave them in the comments below. I really like answering your questions, and I like that they're a bit of a variety each time as well. So yeah, leave them below if you've got any other ones, or just send me a message. I always get back to your emails and things, and I'll leave my email at the bottom of this video as well, so you can check that out. I'd love it if you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I will be doing lots more, obviously. I bring you 2 videos a week, once on a Wednesday, which is a weekly vlog, and once on a Sunday at 5 PM. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on those, and I will see you guys in my next video.